Hello, welcome back to the Fandom Minutes. I'm Mike.
And I'm Matt.
And today we're going to talk about the movie The Joker.
Very controversial.
Very.
I tried describing it to my mom, like just the plot, and she couldn't even, because my dad's like, why are you watching that again? I thought you didn't like it. And I was like, no, I liked it, but I was like, I can't watch it with you guys because it would be too much. And my mother was like, well, what do you mean? So I started describing the plot, and I couldn't even get like halfway through the plot, and she's like, stop telling me.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's strange. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I get it. It's not for everyone.
Yeah.
First thing to know is if you haven't seen it, do not go into it expecting your traditional superhero movie.
And we are going to have some spoilers here. So if you haven't seen the movie, you might go and watch it and then come back to this.
So, like I said, it's not your traditional superhero movie. You know, you watch a superhero movie and you watch it for the feel-good moments.
Yeah.
And
the comedy
action and just the power. This is not that movie.
Nope.
It's a very different movie. It's more, would you almost say it was kind of psychological in a way?
Yeah, I would classify this as a psychological thriller.
But
very little action.
Nonetheless, it's a good movie.
So I saw it before, so this is my second time watching it. This is Mike's first time watching it. So first time watching it, what'd you think? Like, give me some pointers.
So right off the bat, when it first was announced and I first heard about it, you know, I did expect a superhero movie. I expected, you know, the Joker that you see in the comics.
Yeah.
And at times you kind of get that.
So kind of funny more, or?
But overall, it's a totally different character.
Yeah.
But once I actually watched it, I actually enjoyed it. It is a little slow to start. It takes a bit to get into it.
It does, yeah.
But I feel like that kind of fits with the movie itself.
Yeah, I thought that it needed that for the character development. It was slow, but once you kind of get into it,
it picked up steam the same way that his personality does in the movie.
Yes, exactly. That's what I thought. It kind of matched that.
But overall, I would give it a 9 out of 10. The only reason I don't say a 10 out of 10 is because it did start off a little slow and it had moments where I was kind of checking the clock, you know, but for overall, it was a very good movie. What do you think about it?
So this, like I said, this is my second time watching it. So first time around, same thing, same thoughts exactly, right? So I was kind of like, man, this is kind of rolling on, you know, and I kind of got that whole checking the clock kind of thing. I was like, so I like this, but okay. So that was my first time watching it, and I liked it, but I gave it like an 8 out of 10. Because I just felt like it was kind of dragging. I liked the ending. I thought the ending was pretty cool. Well, second time watching it, way better. Like, I'm changing it from an 8 to a 10. And I'm saying that because, you know, some movies, when you rewatch it, it's just better. Well, I feel like this one is because I knew what was going to happen. So, because of that, I was able to watch those slow parts in a different light. So I watched those, I'm like, dang, this is going to happen because of this, this, and this. And I'm like, okay, so, you know, he just lost his job. He's really getting down. And then you kind of watch his expressions, and you notice kind of the way his face changes, the look in his eye changes as he's getting more and more insane and kind of just losing himself. And you don't really notice that the first time around. You're just like, oh, okay, yeah, he is a depressed guy and stuff. But when you watch it and you know what's going to happen, I think going back and rewatching it really made those slow parts more fun to watch.
Another thing I would say, so in this movie, he's, you know, kind of a failed comedian.
Yeah.
He's really not that funny, but people do laugh at him. And I found myself kind of chuckling in a couple spots almost in a awkward way.
Yeah, he's very awkward.
And again, that really fits the tone of the movie. It really fits the personality of the character. You know, there were moments where I felt sorry for him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, moments where I was like, man, this is kind of pathetic. But you know, again, it's not a feel good movie.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's not feel good at all.
You're not meant to walk out of that theater or that living room or wherever you're watching the movie and go, man,
that was a good
that
movie.
was great.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a great movie, but you're not meant to have high spirits. You know, it's a movie about a downtrodden man.
And his lot in life.
He's had, you know, traditionally in the sense of the Joker from the comics, it all stems from that one bad day. Yep. This guy, his whole life is a bad day.
Yeah.
I know it's been out a while, but we wanted to make sure that there was no spoilers.
Right.
No, no chance to ruin it for anyone else. We want to give everybody an opportunity to see it first.
Yeah. Came out October 4th, 2019.
So this movie in theaters made a lot of money. So it's somewhere in the billions, I believe.
Yeah. So its budget was $55 million. That's how much it cost to make the movie, which pretty good chunk of change. Mm-hmm. For movie wise, like Avengers, it was a lot bigger budget. But yeah, $55 million, pretty strong budget. Well, it made 19 times that at the box office, 19.5, I believe. Anyways, it is now worldwide. Domestic box office as of today, February 9th, I believe it is. Domestic box office, $335,084,607. Internationally, this is with the rest of the world, not just us, $736,646,024. Worldwide box office, so that's us included, if we add both of those totals together, $1,071,730,631.
Dang.
That is a lot. It is now the top grossing R-rated movie in the world ever. It is blown out every other. Yeah. So real quick before we let me go over a few more stats here. So these are the Oscar nominations that the Joker has gotten. It has gotten nominated for Best Picture. This is for the 2020 Oscar nomination. Best Picture,
which at the time of recording will be tonight. Correct?
Yes. Yeah. It's probably live right now. So we've got Best Picture, Best Actor, Adapted Screenplay, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Cinematography, which it did have a lot of cool angles and lighting effects. Best Costume Design, I definitely think it deserves that one. Film Editing, maybe. I mean, like I said, cool cutaways and stuff. Makeup and Hairstyle, probably out of all those other choices that I read, definitely deserves it just because of how the Joker looked. It has Original Score, which I was talking to Mike about it. Whoever did the score for this, I haven't looked that up yet, I think did a phenomenal job. It was always that dark, like, stringed instrument. I think it was maybe like a cello or something, but it was always really dark and brooding. Mm-hmm. Even in times that you thought were happy, the music kept you dark.
Right.
And so I really liked the music for this movie. And again, that's something I didn't notice the first time around, but the second time watching it, I was like, wow, that music, that score is great. Sound editing, maybe. And then sound mixing, also, maybe.
Real quick.
Yeah.
In the comments, right now, pause the video, go in the comments, and let us know how many of those awards you think they're going to get.
If you haven't seen the Oscars.
Now, go ahead.
Okay.
You had...
Okay, so we got some fan theories here. These are the 8 genius Joker fan theories to help you put on a happy face. And this is from mandatory.com.
It's on the web. It's got to be true.
Yeah, it's got to be, right? Arthur Fleck is in fact the illegitimate son of Thomas Wayne. So, in the movie it establishes that his mom was insane and that she was in the hospital. So before I read this, I'm going to guess that she wasn't insane and all the documents were forged by Wayne Enterprises, simply to hide the cover-up. So let's see what they say. One of the major subplots of the Joker dances maniacally with the idea that Arthur Fleck and Bruce Wayne may be related. Arthur's mother, Penny Fleck, used to be a Wayne Enterprises employee and may have had an affair with Thomas Wayne. When Arthur confronts his Big Daddy, Wayne, later in the film, Thomas writes Penny off as mentally ill, which she is. Thomas' accusations appear to be confirmed when Arthur reads medical records stating that his mother spent time in a mental institution, Arkham. He was abused as a child and that he is actually adopted. Yeah, that was kind of a shock. There are many details that indicate Thomas Wayne is lying, though. Not the least which is the fact that he's a powerful dick. Wayne is a well-connected man in Gotham. His upper-class relationship and ex-M16 butler, for example, and history of the medical profession would make it very easy for him to cover up his affair. So, like I was thinking. And subsequently, bastard baby Joker. It's not like they had paternity tests in the 70s. In addition to this, after Arthur kills Penny, he finds a photograph with a message on the back that reads, "Love your smile, TW." So that could be kind of taken two different ways. Sometimes people just are like, love your smile, just to, kind of say, you're a great worker, love your smile, doesn't mean necessarily anything. It's just a passing thing. But the fact that it was a picture of her and he took the time to write that also could be a hint. What do you think?
Or it could also be that maybe she did it herself.
Yeah, could be.
If she indeed is crazy.
Yeah.
But
back
I know
when she was
that
the secretary.
This would not be the first time that
that theory's
obviously
coming
we're
to
going
play.
back to we're going back to the comics here, which this is kind of a loose interpretation of the comics, but nonetheless, Thomas Wayne in the comics multiple times has been in different
renditions,
continuities, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Has indeed been quite the asshole. There's been times where they've questioned, who he may or may not have had an affair with, and all these different things. So it's not too far out of reach to say that did indeed happen. Also, with the fact that this tries very hard to be a very realistic
film
approach.
Yeah.
To think that somebody who is as powerful as he is, rich businessman, looking to become mayor.
I could see it happen.
He's going to want to cover up any wrongdoings
yeah.
he may have done. Just because his son is,
legitimate,
Batman,
yeah,
doesn't mean that his father is
a good person,
a good man.
Yeah.
And it's not always that way. Sometimes he's seen as a good man. Sometimes he's not. It just depends on which story you're going with. And in this particular story,
why do we fall?
If we go off the whole Joker made everything up in
aspect,
this movie,
yeah.
Maybe he did make it up. Maybe it didn't happen. It could be taken either way, and that's what I like about this movie. Is there's so many things on there, that can be taken any way you like. Every time the director is asked a question, he says it's up for your interpretation. However you think it happened, maybe that's how it happened.
I think that's good. I think that's a good way to be. Arthur Fleck isn't the Joker, but may have inspired the real one. So this one's an interesting one. Vulnerable Arthur Fleck isn't exactly the clown prince of crime, which is interesting because you're right. He doesn't have any criminal background besides, killing some people, and most of it was accidental. Most of what Fleck gets away with in Joker can be chalked up to luck. He has no intention of becoming the poster child of a kill-the-rich rebellion. He's just a disturbed human being. Given Joker's settings and Arthur's age, it's more likely that the events of Joker inspired the real Joker, the demented mastermind and arch-nemesis of Batman. A popular idea people have been embracing concerns Tim Burton's Batman, which was the second one, right? With the penguin? No, that was the first one. Yeah. Did he make both of them?
Made the first two.
Nice. Okay, I didn't realize Tim Burton made the first one as well. In that film, Bruce Wayne's parents are killed in an alleyway by Jack Napier, who eventually becomes the Joker. At the end of Joker, the Waynes are killed again, white pearls and all, which I thought was a really nice nod to the comics, in an alleyway as a result of riots breaking out across the city. So they're saying maybe that guy that killed the parents in the mask was who becomes the Joker later in life.
So,
and I like that theory. That would make a lot of sense.
One thing I like about this, a lot of times when you see that Batman's parents have been killed, it's usually by just some lowlife who is just out to make a quick buck.
Yeah, a thug. It was just him trying to steal, wasn't it?
Yes.
Because he wanted the pearls, too.
What I like about this theory is that this person that killed them didn't do so on a whim. They weren't just an unlucky victim.
Yeah.
To these people, Thomas Wayne deserved to die. It gave a purpose for this person attacking beyond just, okay, I want your money.
Yeah.
This was a killing because of a revolution, or because of a
rebellion.
A rebellion to stop this
the power
hungry, whatever. I like this theory a little more because of that. It gives a little more substance to it, and
it would make sense that guy even could become the Joker, because maybe he is, this lackey, and he moves up in the gangster world, gets a little bit better job, and then ends up being offed by the head boss and taken to the vat of acid and gets thrown in and everything, and maybe he, when that happens, maybe he remembers back to that whole Joker time, in the 70s, and that's what he ends up basing his look off of.
I mean, it's possible. It's definitely a theory worth kind of holding on to and checking out, because it definitely does appear to maybe hold a little bit of weight to it.
Yeah.
And definitely gives a little more structure to the Wayne murders.
Yeah. So in this theory, Joaquin Phoenix, Arthur Fleck, is too old to eventually be the arch enemy of an adult Bruce Wayne with the Joker. A fan on Reddit suggested that all of this makes sense because of time travel. The only superhero in the DCEU to time travel is, of course, the Flash. In the comics, the Flash ran through time to save his mother. As we all know, if you mess with time, time messes back. When the Flash did this, he ended up altering reality and changing all sorts of superhero narratives. This would not only account for a bunch of inconsistencies in the Joker, but every other inconsistency in the DCEU. So it's pretty much just fills all the plot holes.
So an interesting point on this one is in the Flashpoint
paradox.
Yes, in the Flashpoint comic, the Flashpoint animated movie. One interesting fact is that once he time travels, Batman is not Bruce Wayne.
He's Thomas Wayne.
He is Thomas Wayne because Bruce Wayne was the one that was murdered. So, kind of adds a little more to the having Thomas Wayne in the story, which is interesting because you don't typically get to see much of him. Most movies we see with Batman, Thomas Wayne is he's long gone.
Yeah.
So it's a little more in depth on his background.
Yep.
So with Flashpoint, it's possible because that's one of the stories that they do want to adapt for a Flash movie. And so if they ever wanted to bring this movie into the current universe, so to speak, they definitely could do that with the Flashpoint.
Or it could be a multiverse too. Also, this could be this Joker's version of the events.
Right, and of course we know DC's a big thing is their multiverse.
Yeah,
and their crisis
on
said multiverse. And so to introduce time travel, to introduce those aspects of this, not too far-fetched as far as comic books go.
Yeah.
Definitely enjoy this one, just for the fact that there's so many possibilities.
Definitely.
Whenever I hear about certain people getting casted for movies, I'm always like, why though? Like they're a little
why
too
that guy?
old
Yeah.
for that, or they're a little too they don't fit the part. but maybe not in mainstream DC universe, but
For that version.
on Earth 92 or Earth 16, whichever Earth you want to go with.
Yeah.
They easily could fit into that.
So the next theory we've got is the one we've been talking about, where the whole story is just a delusion of a mentally disturbed man, which I also really like this theory. The heart and soul of the interpretation debate revolves around the film's ending. After the events of the film, we find Arthur Fleck in Arkham Asylum, not with green hair, which he should have because he dyed it, but with brown, gray hair, indicating a time lapse. He's being evaluated by a psychiatrist who seems really similar to the social worker he talks about early in the film. All of these present the possibility that the entire, or at least parts of the story, is a vivid fantasy, a result of Arthur's fractured mind. The film's director has even said that the movie is less about being presented with facts and more about being presented with possibilities. So it also could be, maybe just after he was arrested, this scene took place a longer, maybe he's been in there a long time.
Yeah, that's very possible. But another instance of this, another popular theory in the Batman universe is that Batman himself, Bruce Wayne, is a patient in Arkham, and that all of his villains and supporting characters are actually
the nurses and doctors.
Other patients and doctors and the orderlies and all of that.
Or even possible his mental illnesses.
And yeah, it could just be the manifestation of his illnesses, and that's something that could very well be going on with this, which definitely makes a lot of sense. You see Batman and Joker as two sides of the same coin, yin and yang, and so this story could really fit both of them. And so to have this be a potential theory floating around about this movie just makes so much sense. Out of everything I've read, that makes the most sense. Word for word, almost, that's exactly what I thought watching the movie.
Yeah. You're like, why doesn't he have green hair?
I was like, he doesn't have green hair.
And he has stubble.
And I thought, this lady looks a lot like the social worker, but with different hairstyle. Hairstyle very similar to the female character that he tries to pursue, So who's to say that what he's not experiencing in the story is just played off of people he's meeting and talking to in his daily life at Arkham.
There might even be a midget at Arkham, and that's the only one that was nice to him.
I mean, you never know. It could be anything, and that's the best thing about this movie is there's so many possible interpretations. It's not like, what about this? No, it can't be that because of this.
Yeah.
Or, it almost fits perfect, but there's this one little flaw in that plan.
And this one doesn't have any of that.
No. No matter what you have to say about it, it all can make sense.
So the next one kind of is a continuation of that. That's why I was going to bring it up. Sorry about cutting you off.
That's right.
Arthur is in Arkham the entire time. So a lot of people have noticed the fact that the clock in Arkham at the end of reads 11:11.
That's actually seen. I noticed that in 2 or 3 scenes in the movie. And then I also went ahead and looked that up real quick. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
The director says there's no correlation. Joaquin Phoenix says there's no correlation. They both say it's just got to be a coincidence.
That seems like a really big coincidence.
I don't believe in coincidences.
Yeah.
Especially not that much.
Yeah.
And that goes back to what I was saying about the director saying that he doesn't do Easter eggs. That was kind of hand in hand there. He mentioned both of those in the same particular interview, that he doesn't do Easter eggs, and that if there was any correlation with the 11:11, that it was purely coincidence. But let's go ahead and hear what they have to say about this.
So 11:11 is the time one usually makes a wish. If the entire story we are seeing takes place in Arthur's head as he creates a dream backstory for himself, then this would be fitting. Unfortunately, Todd Phillips confirms the whole 11:11 thing is merely a coincidence.
Should have just listened to it.
It's all good. The dream backstory theory still fits, though. Throughout the film, there are various moments where Arthur fantasizes. Early in the film, he imagined he's on the Franklin Murray show, the crowd's laughing at his stand-up routine. and an entire relationship with his neighbor Sophie. All of these things make Arthur an extremely unreliable narrator. So, he could either A, be recounting his story years later, or B, running through his ideal fantasy over and over again. If he truly is the Joker, it would make sense for him to see himself as a sympathetic character and to blame Batman's family for all of his problems. So, in the next theory, we've got Arthur actually kills Sophie. It's never shown, but there's a theory that he does. One of the most devastating realizations in the Joker comes when Arthur goes to visit Sophie and she is weirded out by his presence, which makes sense because he just walked into her apartment. She only sees him as a strange dancer from down the hall when he thinks that they have an entire romantic history, which I kind of saw that coming because I was like, why isn't there more dialogue between these two characters? I noticed she was really quiet. There was only like a couple things she said, and I thought that was really weird. I was like, why isn't there more dialogue?
There were very basic things to say too, like, I'm going to go get some coffee, do you want some?
Yeah.
Like, there's never really anything to build a relationship off of,
yeah,
I guess to say.
Yeah, and so I kind of noticed that. It comes as a shock to the audience and to Arthur that this is not true. Reeling from the discombobulation, Arthur points a finger gun at his head, goes back to his own apartment, and laughs on the couch in pain. Sirens are then heard outside his window. It wouldn't be a stretch to assume that Arthur went bonkers on Sophie.
So, that's another one of those that could go either way. There's no way to say one way or the other 100%.
Yeah. But he likes Sophie, so I don't really necessarily think he would. But then again, he's also realizing, wait, you never dated me.
So, I get that he does, but it could be very similar to the show that he was on.
Mm-hmm.
He saw a relationship with this guy as being somebody he looked up to.
Yeah.
And then come to find out this person's making fun of him. You know, well, in the same way, he was in love with this girl, or thought they were in some kind of relationship. To have her say, "You need to leave," and be weirded out
by his presence,
that could have been enough to set him off. That could have been like him getting rejected again, much the same way that he was rejected by the host of the show, and then again when he was on the show, and he just finally snapped. So it could go either way. Also, I seem to remember the sirens.
Yes, I didn't even notice that.
Going off. So, if he killed her, did he call somebody to come get her?
Or did someone else?
Or somebody else in the apartment? Or
hear the gunshot?
Or did she just go ahead and call to get him out of there? It could go either way. But again, as far as gunshots go, why did nobody notice the one in his apartment?
The hole?
Yeah.
Well, the cops did come over.
But they didn't...
To interview the mom.
Didn't really do much.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like there would have been a little more of a stink about that.
So, the next one is Batman already exists in the Joker, which I'm sure this one's going to be interesting. At the end of the movie, when Arthur is being interviewed, he starts laughing. When asked why, he says that you wouldn't get it, which is now a big meme online. Just over everything. It's great. The film cuts to a young Bruce Wayne and the dead bodies of Thomas and Martha. Rumor has it that the original script had the line, "You wouldn't get it. It's a joke between me and him." There's no denying the ways in which Joker related to Batman's origin story. Arthur Fleck is essentially responsible for starting a revolution and the death of Batman's parents and loss of Bruce's innocence. If Arthur has been sitting in the mental institution the entire movie and is rewriting his past, why would he work the Caped Crusader's origin story into the mix? Is it because Batman is the reason he's in Arkham in the first place? The darkest and most suitable comedy the Joker could create himself is one which his life is intertwined with Batman's in a chicken or the egg sort of way. The character of the Joker is one very fond of his own insanity. The more explicit the line, was, the more likely cut to exhaust out our patience and ambiguity. So he wanted to leave it more up to interpretations instead of really saying that, you know, Batman is the Joker. Or not Batman is the Joker. That Batman is around in the Joker is what I meant to say. So, again, they mentioned that his hair was graying in the final scene. So how long, you know, has he been in there? Because his hair wasn't gray at all, you know, leading up to this. And then he's got that graying in his hair. Maybe this did happen. Maybe this is after he fought Batman, and this is just him retelling how it all started to that one worker.
You know, I never thought of it that way, but that is actually a good theory in itself.
So this is kind of almost like the end of his Joker life, and he's remembering how it all started.
It's definitely a possibility. Like I said, I've never really thought about it that way, but when you mention it, it does make sense. Like it's
good possibility.
It's definitely a good possibility.
Which, I mean, I like that one, and it would be kind of cool if it was. But and what if that girl wasn't necessarily the interviewer? What if she was a reporter? It never really says what she is. We assume that she's working for the police or for the hospital, you know. But what if she's interviewing the Joker about his life?
I feel like she would have to have been a psychologist or something.
That's what I was thinking, because there wasn't any recordings or anything, but this was just something I thought of. Okay, and I think this is the last one. Yeah, the last one here, guys. And the Joker isn't a comic book movie at all. We kind of mentioned that with saying it was more of a psychological thriller. So here's this one. There are a lot of things that separate the character of Arthur Fleck from that of the Joker. Aside from the clown makeup and a... Sorry, I'm going to have to start this over. What is that? Proclivity?
Hmm?
I don't know what that word is.
Proclivity?
Proclivity for laughter? That's so weird. Okay, so here's the last theory. Joker isn't a comic book movie at all, which we kind of talked about that with it being more of a psychological thriller.
Right.
So I think this one's going to be an interesting theory. There are a lot of things that separate the character of Arthur Fleck from that of the Joker, aside from the clown makeup and the proclivity for laughter. Arthur lacks the confidence, articulation, and vision of the usual supervillain we are presented. However, once Arthur stops taking his meds, and the closer he becomes to embracing the Joker persona, the more the movie teases connections to its apparent source material. Which I kind of thought that too. I kind of thought maybe the meds were holding him back. Joker begins with a man that thinks he felt better when he was locked up in the hospital. It shows us a plethora of unsettling circumstances and interactions, darkness marinating in the depths of a divided society and of a torn man. The film drops enough fan service and comic book callouts, Wayne, Dr. Ben Stoner, etc., to make up comfortable without pretending assumptions that, oh, it's a comic book movie. Just when we think we know what we're watching, Joker rips the rug out from under us. In the interview, the filmmakers have said that they use the guide of a comic book movie to make something else. And that's what Joker is. Hopefully, they never make a sequel, according to this person. We will forever be left wondering what happened. The film serves as a catalyst for the viewer's imagination while leaving its monster in the closet and challenging our understanding of comic book movies. When Arthur Fleck's blood-stained footprints victoriously fill the final frame, it indicates that Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix have fooled us all. And that was kind of the thing where I said, you know, I mean, I get what he's saying. It would stand well as just a standalone movie and leaving it up. So I think if they ever did make a sequel, they should definitely continue that, where it, again, is all up to interpretation. I would not take that out at all, because I think that's what really made this movie great.
I also think that so when it comes to superhero movies in general, I typically cannot stand when they stray too far from the source material. Now, I'm all for diversity and stuff like that, but when you start messing with who a character is to make them somebody else, I'm not a fan of that. I'd rather you just make an original character rather than
changing the character dynamics, who the character is.
Character.
And we're back. Now that the Oscars are over, we can talk about what it won. It was nominated for a lot of things, and I wish it won more, but Joker only won 2 Oscars this year for his performance. Joaquin Phoenix took home the Academy Award for Best Actor. Definitely deserved.
I feel like he definitely deserved that.
And Hildur, we can't really pronounce his last name, took home the Academy Award for Best Original Score, which I also think is a good one because, like I mentioned earlier in the video, I really loved the score for this movie.
It really flowed very well with the movie itself. So I feel like both of those were very deserved.
Yes.
I feel like there was a lot more that was deserved as well, and I kind of feel like they may have been shortchanged.
Missed out. I think costume.
Definitely costume. The makeup and hair I believe was one.
Yeah.
I think should have definitely got it as well.
The design, like.
There's just so many different things that I feel they deserved in this movie.
Yeah, definitely.
And
not that the other ones didn't necessarily deserve it, but I hear Parasite, which won Best Picture. I hear it was fantastical, really good, anyways. So it was the first foreign film to ever win an Oscar like that.
Yeah.
So it broke the history.
Which, like I said, and not taking anything away from the ones that did win, but I definitely felt like this movie deserved more
recognition.
Yeah. And I'm glad that they at least got put in the running for it.
Yeah.
But they definitely should have won some more.
Yeah, I agree.
Thanks for joining us again for another episode of the Fandom Minutes. We appreciate having you. And Matt, tell them what we got next week.
So next week, Pokemon Sword and Shield's new booster packs. And what was the name of the boxes?
It is just the Elite Trainer box.
Elite Trainer boxes, yeah.
There's Sword and there's Shield. As we spoke in our first video, I chose Shield, Matt chose Sword, so we're going to stick with that with our box openings and kind of play a little game with it, see who gets the better pools.
Yep, so we're going to see, and you guys can vote on the next one in the comments below. Yeah, come check it out, vote which one of us you think got the better pools, and we're going to build a little deck and maybe have a little game with it. Also on this one, comment in the section below what you guys thought of the Joker and what you'd like to see maybe in some future videos. What fandom would you like us to discuss? And as always, thanks for watching.